Hello, everybody. My name is Andres Salazar. Welcome to the Art of Comics. This is part 8 of a Alex Toth retrospective that we're doing, and I've been having so much fun really diving into Alex Toth's work, all his comic work, his personality, his animation, everything. I've learned so much doing this, to be honest. I've been really going through all his stuff, and I've been having a great time, so I hope you guys have been as well. If this is I would recommend going back to part 1 if you haven't seen those. Go all the way through the series, but we're now on part 8, and so we're gonna dive into this right now. If you recall, in the last episode, we talked about him working for Hanna-Barbera, doing Space Ghost, Herculoid, some things like that, and then again, feeling that challenge of working with editorial and just not being able to kind of be aligned with management, became disaffected and disillusioned with working at that time. When he did that, he kind of went back to what he loved, which was comics. So while he wasn't in love with superheroes, he did love the medium of cartooning and comic books. And so he got this great opportunity. He loved hot rod automobiles. That was really big at the time. And Pearson Publishing did a series of magazines and comics, and they did hot rod cartoons. And this is some of his best work, and I really loved it. He had carte blanche to do whatever he wanted to do, and had a great time doing it. And I want to find those. In fact, you can find those single issues, but you can't find them collected. And I really need to find those. So let's dive into some of these comics that he did. Let's start with this one. I love this. This is, again, part of that Hot Rod Classics. Now, Hot Rod cartoons. What was great about this was this along with John Fury, were one of the few times where he have complete creative control. So that's what I think is interesting about these books. For Zorro, he didn't. For, of course, all the standard stuff. Everything else, he always had editors. He had people changing his stuff, or he wasn't happy with it. But for John Fury, it was all him. And for this stuff, it's all him. So I think there it's like unadulterated Toth. So I love this stuff. I love the positioning of this stuff. It's, again, he's using very simple line work, but very just the composition of the panels is just wonderful. I really like this comic a lot, and I like the more cartoony stuff. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the way Miller does too. How Miller goes, reels in the detail, goes back to a very basic kind of style. You start to see that in Sin City, of course. This is kind of fun story. This surfer guy, falls in the water. He kind of has this dream of what would it be like to never have to work and just hang out and just swing all the time, right? What would it be like to just swing all the time? And he has a life of just swinging, and it becomes where it's too much swing. He needs to go back to work. Here's a completely different style. This is where he did the Dragula stuff, right? So they did all the monsters with the hot rod stuff, like the Rat Fink type of things. This is some duotone shade he's using. I really dig this again. I think this is some of his best stuff. I think it really is. It reminds me a little bit of Harvey Kurtzman as well. It's got that kind of Kurtzman comedic, Mad Magazine type stuff that you would see in a book like that. Again, it just shows his versatility of the kind of things he did. So, he did a couple of these comics. He actually met back up with Archie Goodwin, which Archie Goodwin was the editor for him and writer for Standard Comics. He kind of re-teamed up with Archie, and Alex started, and he did some work for Warren for Creepy and Eerie. And we're going to do another episode of this book, just of Toth's work for Warren. So we're going to put this to the side, but we will do an episode, probably episode 9 or so, about the Warren stuff, which is really good. So he does that, but that only lasts 2 years. So he's only working for Warren and Archie Goodwin for about 2 years, from 65 to 67. Goodwin leaves, and Alex goes with him. He's like, okay, I wanted to be there because of you, Archie. If you're gone, I'm gone. At that point, he did actually some work for Marvel. Wasn't as happy with that. Again, he just didn't have good experiences with some of the editors and stuff there. And we'll share some of that with you in a little bit. But here's a couple of... I really like this stuff he did for Motor Trend magazine. This stuff is brilliant. This kind of goes to showing, kind of like his hero, Noel Sickles, how Noel Sickles would able to, do comics and then also do this wonderful illustration and this kind of ad copy work. So just goes to show that his skills were different. I liked this too. I thought this was brilliant. This is another great piece. This is from Thrilling Adventures of Super Teen, Super Teen Volume 10, number 7. I would love to get the original copy of this too, because I just love these faces. I love the layout of this. These, very 60s, cool, very freaking cool, like, design. And I like the tones and colors. I think this is really good. Some of his really great stuff. So, big fan of this work here. Then we go into the Marvel stuff I was mentioning. I didn't care for this. And this is, so what they did was, a lot of times artists would have to start at Marvel by inking over Kirby or drawing over Kirby's breakdowns. And so this is laid out by Kirby, and I don't know how detailed he'd do his panels, but he would lay this all out, and then Toth would draw it, and then Vince Collada, would then ink it. And it just doesn't look anything like Alex Toth. And it just doesn't look good. To me, it just doesn't look good. Compare that to like this, it's the same year. And it's like, this is his jam. This stuff is brilliant. The way he's able to use this duo shade, he was a master of this. Look at these great blocks, black and white, great contrast stuff. This stuff is amazing. I like the story as well. This is called Survival in Blazing Combat. So anytime Alex does these war stories or Western stories or romance, that is his jam. I've said that many times, and you clearly see it feels like the skill level just bumps up. This is a fun story, kind of a post-apocalyptic world. He's out searching for things, and then he accidentally kills a person, and kind of goes insane for that. I love this too. This reminds me a lot of Gene Colan. This is like my favorite panel of the whole series, is this panel here. This again is one of the ones in Erie that we're going to talk about, so I'm going to bypass this, but I just have to show off this panel. I love his ink washes he puts in this. We will talk about that. We'll talk about these Erie guys and creepy later. Again, another Blazing Combat piece. When we get into Bravo for Adventure, again, we show that his love for airplanes, who again, Noel Sickles was big into as well. The Knief stuff with Scorchy Smith. I don't even know how you compose these pages and these dogfights, but he was able to do it and figure it out, and just brilliant stuff. And again, I love the tone. I think this is some of Toth's best stuff. Okay. So Alex Toth winds up leaving Hanna-Barbera. He leaves there. He's looking for the next gig. He works on a couple small projects with Ken Snyder Productions. He worked on Skyhawks and Hot Wheels, which is a brilliant comic here, Hot Wheels. And then he moved to Disney, thinking that would work out, but that only lasted 90 days. It just didn't work out for him. He wanted to go to the live action unit, and that did not work out so well. He did work on some of the cartoon renditions for Robin Hood, which actually I love Robin Hood. And so he kind of dipped he had 1 foot straddling animation, 1 foot in live action stuff for doing boards for those guys. And then he just started doing more freelance stuff. So we're gonna see some of this freelance work. He did a couple pieces again for Archie Goodwin. He did these animated pre-production work and some comics. These are some really cool kind of comic strip stuff he did. He kind of like went all around in this time, looking for some place that he felt would fit him. And these are great too. I've never really seen this kind of like animation work by him before, but I really love this pose here. And he wouldn't use photography necessarily for this, so not like he wouldn't go do a lot of models, but he might have used models for that. I don't know. If he didn't, I'd be really impressed. That's great too. Love the tone work. So this is all fun. This is all really cool stuff. I love this too. You can see here, his preliminary sketches, and then goes down into the actual paint. So he painted. He could paint. He could put tone down. He could work it. And so the next thing he did was he wanted to do this work for DC Comics, this Hot Wheels project, right? So he wanted to do the Hot Wheels. There was a car show nearby his house in Pasadena. He went all this film. He photographed these coupes and these convertibles and Corvettes and things, and did these comics. And this stuff is awesome. I love this. This is like some of his best work. I think everyone thinks it's great. I keep saying that, don't I? It's because Alex Toth is the real deal, okay? So put that in your pipe. He uses chisel a lot. You see other guys use that too, the chisel brush or pen. I love these little 3/4 view faces. Economy of line, simplicity, clear blacks. He was just able to just put things the right shape, the right composition. He was just a master of it. These great rocks and stuff. That shadow right there. So this is like some of my favorite stuff he's done. And notice this is all almost like a film strip, all 2x4, 8-panel composition. So right there, you simplify the world by just saying every page is going to be this format, and it works out really well. So here is some colored work of his. Colored's okay. I think his black and white's actually better, to be honest. I love this war work he did. I think this is, again, the drop shadows he puts on everything really give it that sense of depth. And I've been kind of thinking about that with my own work and going through my book again and literally going back through the comic and just looking for more drop shadows and more things that should really show the light source and show the depth of field by using more drop shadows. So really thinking about that more, and he's great at this stuff here. All this is just brilliant work. The backgrounds is wonderful. Just these little lines for grass is really great. Thinking about that for my own work. I have a panel that's all grass. Maybe I should just put some lines like that for grass. I think I will. And this reminds me of Sickles for sure. I like when you use that tone right there too. Beautiful stuff that he did. Burma Sky. Yeah, this was a story by Archie Goodwin that he did. He worked with Archie Goodwin. They worked out. Okay, last bit in this. This is the light life in his eyes. He remarried. He found this similar to before. He finds someone who works in the office, and she marries him. They get married. She was like a executive secretary in the office, and they are a match that work out perfectly. She softens him up. She brings him out of his shell, as far as being the social. She's more of a social person. He's not, and so she really helps facilitate that in gatherings and stuff. They seem to be a really great team, and she was really good to the kids, to Christina's kids. So that's kind of a good note. Her name was Gyla. I've never heard that name before, but anyway, Gyla Toth was a good influence and a good marriage for him, and so that was good. And that's the end of that. Next, we're going to get more into the animation. We're going to go into all the work he did, and he goes back to Hanna-Barbera, and then we'll probably break out that other animated book as well. And then we also have the creepy stuff and Bravo. So thanks a lot, you guys. Have a great day.